Good afternoon. Welcome to Midcap Radar. I'm Sonal Bhutra. With me, as always, is Vivek Iyer. It's all about the US elections today, but it's a lot about how Indian markets are reacting to it as well. It's been a good day so far. We have seen recovery from lows, 240 points higher on the Nifty, and a lot of action in the broader markets as well.
Good afternoon, Sonal. Absolutely nothing to complain about. And if you recall, yesterday exactly at this point is when the rally actually started. This show's been quite good as far as the bulls are concerned. But we have quite a lot lined up as far as today's show is concerned. Let's start off with the top headlines. Stocks gain, tracking a sharp uptick in US futures following the US presidential result. IT, oil and gas, along with realty, are the big gainers, even as FMCG trades flat. Mid-caps outperform.
CCL product surges over 8% on the back of strong Q2 numbers. Revenue surges over 21%. EBITDA rises 24.5% on a YOY basis.
E-clerk surges at the back of strong Q2 numbers. Revenue and EBIT margin surge on a year-on-year basis. Stock rallies over 7%.
Cummins India surges post parent company issues positive commentary on power gen business. HSBC issues a buy call on the stock at 4,200 rupees per share. They say they expect 50% revenue growth off a low base for Cummins India's largest segment, which is power generation.
The government is looking to sell up to 2.5% of its 29.5% equity in Hindustan Zinc via an offer for sale that launched today. The sharply discounted offer price drags the stock lower.
All right, those are the top headlines for the markets. 250 points higher on the Nifty right now. The mid-caps are surging in house. So it's a 1,000-point gain on the mid-cap index. It's up almost 2%. And the advance decline ratio comfortably in the favor of advances. As Vivek was pointing out earlier, it was at this time yesterday that we saw that sharp rally from the lows. That has continued to be the case. The markets, global markets, reacted to a possibility of Trump winning according to the initial trends. Now Trump has gone ahead and accepted that, yes, he's won, even though the final results are still to come out. But yes, a lot about his policies is something which will impact global markets. For now, Indian markets in the green, and across the board, there is some gains that we are seeing.
Some gains that we are seeing, especially, one particular segment that we will keep an eye out for will be the IT space. Last time around, there was quite a lot of news flow regarding Indian IT companies. So that'll be one space, especially that markets will be keeping a close eye on. Today, the Nifty IT index has seen a significant bounce, almost 3.75% higher. But Hormuz is standing by a wall. This is our special segment, Midcap Movers. Hormuz will take us through the list of midcaps that are moving around in the session.
Strong moves in the broader markets and almost putting the sell-off over the last few days completely in the background, isn't it? And we start off with the gainers in the broader markets today because they are only gainers today. Dixon Technologies is one of them, 7.5% higher, and Keynes Tech as well, another 7% gain. Piramal Pharma was the stock that I wanted to talk about, though. Piramal Pharma is up almost 10%, and that is among the top gainers within the broader markets. Some stocks that are doing well on the back of earnings reactions, and they continue to trickle in with stocks like GAIL, CCL Products, PB Fintech, all of them seeing gains of anywhere between 2.5% to 9.5% in today's trading session. CCL Products was up double digits at one point of time, still holding on to those gains. But a sector that Vivek just mentioned was IT, large cap IT, mid cap IT. Pick up any stock and you would see healthy gains in today's session. Persistent, Persistent among the best performers in the last few years, continuing to move higher, as is L&T Technology Services. Stocks doing well on the back of volumes as well, and they are including IRCTC. After its results, it's seeing 3.5% move on the upside with some strong volumes. CE Infosystems and Adani Energy Solutions too seeing healthy gains on strong volumes. But some stocks that are bucking the trend in today's session, if I can call it that, Hindustan Zinc on the back of the OFS is down 8%, and some ordinary losses seen in stocks like 5-Star Business Finance and GE Shipping. Back to you guys.
All right, so there are some losers that we are seeing in this market, but thank you so much, Hormuz, for joining in as always. We'll do one thing. For now, we'll slip into a short break. When we come back, MK Danuka from Danuka AGtech will join in to discuss the quarter gone by and the way forward. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Well, as we speak, markets have gained more pace from the levels that we were seeing earlier. Nifty is up 260, almost inching towards the 300 point rally. Even the mid-caps have surged. They are up 1,100 points right now. And talking about mid-caps, a lot of broader market movers. Danuka AgriTech reported a good set led by gross margin expansion. If we talk about the numbers, revenues are up 6% on a YY basis, EBITDA is up 12.5%, and profits are up 15.5%. Margins are also higher at 24.4%. MK Danuka, the managing director at the company, is joining in now. Mr. Danuka, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining in. Well, you know, the last time we had spoken, you spoke about how heavy rainfalls could impact your guidance and production as well has been impacted. Can you give us a sense of how quarter two did? Because you have done a decent performance in quarter two, but is this something which you're seeing in quarter three as well? What is the outlook going forward?
You see, on the front of top line, we have not been able to do what we envisaged. But definitely on the bottom line, we have been able to improve our margins. So we are confident that we will be able to deliver around 16% growth for the third quarter as well as for the whole year, whatever we have achieved for the last 6 months. And the EBITDA margin, earlier we have given the guidance of 100 bips decline. But now we are changing our guidance for EBITDA margin. It will be 100 bips plus over last year.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Danuka, so just to reiterate, at the end of Q1, you had given a guidance of 18 to 20% top line growth for FY25, and you had said that you're expecting to see EBITDA margins decline by 100 basis points over FY24. Now you said that top line is a 16% up move or an improvement over FY24 and almost 200 basis points improvement from the earlier guidance. Is that accurate, sir? And what is the reason for the upgrade in the guidance?
Actually, the few molecules which we have introduced this year, the margins are good in those products, especially like Lanevo and Mycor Super. And the product last year introduced, Janet, has also done fantastically well. So these are the high margin products which have performed well, because of which the gross margin have also improved and EBITDA margin has improved.
Okay. So because of good performance coming in from new molecules. So Mr. Danuka, if you can give us a sense of volume and pricing growth this quarter. We had spoken to Sharda Cropchem. Of course, they are mostly in the markets abroad. But are you seeing an improvement in pricing as well? They expect a 15 to 20% price hike going forward. Do you expect similar trends?
No, I don't expect a price hike in the coming time, because there is inventory available in the market, and overall the capacities in India as well as the China have increased. So prices are either stable or in few of the molecules they are declining, leaving one or two molecules where the price increase is there, like Mancozeb and Cartap hydrochloride. Except these two molecules, I have not seen any price increase, and I don't expect any price increase in near future.
Are you expecting any further price erosion in some of the other molecules? And also a word as far as the Dahej facility was concerned. Q1, you did see some EBITDA margin pressure come in there. So what is the update on that facility? How did it perform?
Yeah, you see, it's at infant stage. So still the Dahej we cannot expect. We have earlier also given the guidance that it will be in positive in FY26-27 only. But for 2 years, we have to wait for the Dahej facility to basically show the positive margins. So regarding your question about further declining in the prices, so few molecules, definitely it is possible that the prices may come down further. But seeing the moisture in the soil and the reservoirs are full of water, Rabi crop is expected to be good, and if the demand improves, definitely there can be chances of little improvement in the prices also.
Okay, so there could be, there will not be much hike in prices, but you're not expecting any major cuts as well. New molecules, they've been around 20%, the last known number. What would the pipeline look like, Mr. Danuka? How much would new molecules contribute going ahead? And you spoke about margins going higher because of new molecules. So what's the pipeline?
You see, recently we have introduced 294 molecules, Sonalji. One was Roxa, which is for wheat weedicide, and second one was Miyako, which is a miticide for tea and some other vegetables. So we hope that these two molecules will also add to the top line and bottom line of the company. And one more molecule we are waiting for the registration. We hope that we will be able to launch the same by the end of the third quarter.
Mr. Danuka, one of the feedback we received is that you've started registration of most of your products as far as the export market is concerned, but few of the products is not going under the Danuka brand. Any specific reason for that? And how's the Brazilian market looking? We understand at the end of Q1, you had quite a few aspirational products over there.
You see, till now, Danuka is not present. We have been able to export only in the 3 countries where the registration requirement is not there. We have applied for the registration and waiting for the registration to get. Once we get the registration, then definitely it will be possible to export to those countries. But till now, till that time, we have to wait and watch.
Okay, all right. So export is something that we'll be tracking because you still need to get approvals in terms of registrations. But overall, looking at 16% revenue growth and a margin expansion of 100 basis points, that's the word coming in from Danuka Agritech. The revision in guidance as well is something that the street likes. The stock is at the day's high. Thank you so much, Mr. Danuka, for joining in and giving us all those insights. You know, the street was worrying that they will cut guidance, but they've gone ahead and increased the margin guidance. And that is something which is positive for the industry as well. And the stock is up around 1.5% as we speak. We'll slip into a short break. When we come back, we'll focus on e-clerks. This is our Midcap Spotlight segment. Stay tuned for that.
Welcome back to Midcap Radar. Well, moving on, this is our special segment, Midcap Spotlight. Rima will put the focus on e-clerks, which is doing very well in the session today.
Thanks so much. So eClerx has reported a significant beat on revenues and margins. So the company's top line growth has come in at 5.9%. In constant currency terms, it's a growth of nearly 12% on a year-on-year basis. That's driving a significant margin beat. Look at the way the margins have expanded for the company on a quarter-on-quarter basis. From 17%, it now stands at 22%. And this is driving a big jump in the company's profitability. Deal wins are higher on a sequential basis, though they're slightly lower on a year-on-year basis. And plus, this is a company which has a lot of cash on its books. So the cash is about 835 crore. There is a conference call later this evening, so we'll get more clarity on whether this kind of performance is sustainable going into H2. Back to you.
All right, eClerx higher in trade today. Thank you so much, Rima, for that. Well, let's talk about Cummins, the Indian stock and the global parent as well. Cummins Inc. had hosted a conference call. Vamakshi is here with how does it impact the Indian company and what is the correlation generally for these companies with an MNC parent?
Well, absolutely, Sonal. Cummins Inc. had a con call, and the first important takeaway that came through from them was that they've lowered their India revenue guidance, including JVs, to 1% as compared to 8% earlier. Now, keep in mind that this is for all of their entities in India and not just Cummins India specifically. And this reduction is largely coming on the back of a fall in their industry truck demand guidance to -5 to +5%, and this does not have a bearing on Cummins India because it does not really serve this segment. The second important takeaway was the positive commentary on the power gen business. Q3 revenue in India was down nearly 12%, but the power gen revenues in India increased by almost 49%, and this was largely driven by pre-buying demand seen in CP4 gensets, as well as the increased demand that came in from the data centers. Now, this has a positive read-through for Cummins India because power power gen is one of the largest revenue contributors for the company. But when we look at the historical trend, there has been a disconnect between the numbers that were reported by the parent company for their overall India business and the numbers reported by the Indian listed companies. So case in point, when we look at the June quarter, Cummins Inc. reported an India revenue degrowth of 10%. Power gen revenue in India for them fell by 17%, but at the same time, the listed entity reported a growth of 4%. Same for the March quarter, Cummins Inc. reported a growth of 1% in its India revenue, a growth of 37% in its power gen revenue, but at the same time, the listed entity reported a growth of 20%. And this disconnect comes through because Cummins has 7 entities in India, including 3 JVs, and the parent's commentary applies on all of these companies in unison. But the commentary on power gen particularly is important for Cummins India because, like I said before, it is the biggest segment. Let's also look at how ABB, the parent company, as well as the Indian listed company, has reported its numbers. Now, ABB growth in India for the September quarter stood at 9%, but ABB India, which is the listed company, reported a growth of 5%. Even in June, there was a bit of a disconnect because the group posted a growth of 3% for the India business, while ABB India saw a growth of 13%. And this disconnect comes in because ABB Group's numbers looks at third-party customers in India who give orders to ABB India, some other ABB companies in India, and to other ABB companies that are outside India. So that is where the disconnect comes in, and therefore, there is not much correlation between the numbers for the India business reported by global companies as compared to the listed Indian companies.
Thank you so much, Vamakshi, for that. So every time, we do see the numbers coming in from ABB Global or Cummins Inc., as is the case today, important to go through the details in granular fashion like Vamakshi has done. But one particular stock that we'd like to put the focus on is Granules India. The company just reported its numbers around half an hour ago. Numbers slightly subdued on a year-on-year basis, in line with what the street was anticipating. But remember, the stock which saw a very steep sell-off just a couple of months ago on the back of the US FDA Form 483 that was issued to its Garglapur facility. Remember, the Garglapur facility contributes a little over 75% of the total top line for Granules. The company in the press release has mentioned that in September 2024, the company had voluntarily shut down that particular facility and had paused all of the manufacturing that was being done over there. This was on account of the US FDA observations. However, the company says that after responding to the US FDA, they have resumed in a minor fashion once again some of the manufacturing that they were doing at the Garglapur facility. The US FDA classification is still pending for this particular facility, and that will be very important to track as far as Granules is concerned. The stock is up almost 4% in today's trading session. But that's all the time we have on this edition of Midcap Radar. Closing bell when we return.